Founder of Death Row Records, at one point, $750 million of generated revenue. I think one year they sold 60 million records, 150 million total records sold. They had some of the biggest albums ever, signing Eazy, Snoop, Dre, Tupac, Nate Dogg, Corrupt, MC Hammer, Warren G. The list goes on. Suge, it's great to have you on the podcast today.
Hey, great being on here.
And I appreciate that. By the way, you know, one of the things I think is important for the audience to know is the fact that you just said, look, whatever Pat wants to ask, I want to have all the conversations, any questions, nothing's off the table. Is that correct?
I like Pat. And one of the things that I always feel, if you ever going to do something and have a platform, it's about telling your truth to the next person's truth to help the generation.
Suge Knight speaks out. And what Suge said really stood out to me. Suge said, the raids wasn't about Diddy. They wasn't about Diddy. And it makes sense. They was about what it was about when you listen to the court transcripts and when you listen to what the witness, Little Rodney or whatever his name is, the allegations. Diddy had cameras, hidden cameras in every room, in every party, at every event, which means that he had evidence on powerful men. With Suge Knight, he hit him in the head with the headshot. Diddy had a get out of jail free card, which is blackmail. He can blackmail some of the most powerful men around the world. Even the ones that he was fighting with in them liquor corporations and companies. So what they do, you got to understand, they send in their army. They made a statement, turned his family upside down, turned his house upside down. But the only thing I'm thinking is, like when you sit back and you really analyze it, somebody put Diddy on point to what was going on. That's why his plane that everybody thought he was on that plane. They was looking for that plane. That plane left without Diddy. And 9 times out of 10, that plane probably was carrying the evidence to convict all these powerful men that Diddy's beefing with. Because Diddy he need no brown right now. I ain't going down by myself. But if they catch that evidence, he ain't got nobody else to point the finger at. He can't prove it. So it's
right to put his hands on another woman, point blank. It's been times where I got hit upside my head with my wife with a fucking garbage can. And I'm more or less like, oh shit. But I'm not thinking about hitting her. I'm not thinking about her. I'm just like, okay, she gonna get over this shit later on. I feel like busting her ass. But I'm not. And that's where I feel like he wrong. That's where I feel like he a coward. You know what I'm saying? That part right there, because it ain't no woman that's going to get you to the point where you got to beat them up. Now, I've seen things, you know what I'm saying? Even if I didn't see the actual beating, you know, it's been times that Cassie called me and said, yo, Bonds, look. And I might see her eye blacked up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or I might see some black and blue. I'll be like, yo, what happened? Yo, you know, this happened, yo, your man, and then he just started beating me up, but I didn't physically see it. I just seen the aftermath of it.
That's kind of like what Gene was saying.
Well, joining me now is Roger Bonds, who was Sean Combs' head of security from 2003 to 2012. Mr. Bonds, thank you very much indeed for joining me. First of all, your reaction when you saw that video?
My reaction was, he's up to the same games. You know, my reaction was he never mentioned Cassie's name in that apology. You know, so to me, he didn't humble himself enough before. And this was back in 2012. So that's why I was so adamant on what I said yesterday after he posted that apology, because it comes a time where it's like, you can't just say anything you want to say and think that people going to accept it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a God syndrome, you know, the same way that he's been in a lot of trouble before and you could pay your way out. He knew those cameras was there, you know, but of course, as we heard, he came back to the hotel and he paid to get the footage, but didn't know, which Cassie said inside her complaint, that they gave her a copy of the footage also. You know what I'm saying? So when you go through life just paying your way out, I really feel like he wasn't sorry about that. Yeah, he might be sorry now. He's sorry that he got caught. But if that was a one-time incident, then I would say accept his apology. But I think in that apology, he said what he thought people wanted to hear.
I could say about him and all the disloyal shit I could say about him, he don't want no problem with the police. He don't want no problem with the feds, and he don't want to have to give up his money. You know what I'm saying? So if I've seen him in relationships where girls said, I'm not fucking with you no more. Yeah, we go over to the house 2 or 3 more times. Yo, pull up. Pull up. Yo, let's talk. But then when he see the girl serious, he's going on. He's on to the next one. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen nothing of that nature, right? But a freak, I would say he's definitely a freak. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen any homosexual activity of no way, form, or fashion. But I have seen things that would make you question things. Like I heard Gene say something about going into the sex store and buying certain things. Yeah, I witnessed that. Whoa. You know what I'm saying? I witnessed going into the sex store, going into the Hustler on Sunset and buying different things. But when a person buys things of that nature, I'm automatically thinking they going to freak off with their girl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As far as different men having, of course he's not going to let you see that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
But the stories are out there that it's out.
The truth. It was really tight.
Pause.
Ended
Pause.
Up getting, pause. We ended up even getting cool and getting tight. We used to go to his crib. He had a penthouse on 74th in Park West. But I've never been on ecstasy. The people get touchy. People get but I've never seen no actual almost.
This wild expose by Suge Knight and Roger Bonds blows the lid off of Diddy. Now, Knight says that the raids are going to take down more than just Diddy, and Bonds spills all the trauma from the Cassie assault case.
Don't talk about Candace Owens anymore. They don't want to report on me. What is up with that? You're not going to believe what I have to share. Something seems to be going on with Justin Bieber. I think his music is amazing. Actually, I hope he goes on an Eras tour. But he was a child when he was brought into the industry. He was discovered on YouTube, super innocent, super young. What was he, maybe 11, 12 years old? So very much a potential victim in the industry of evil. We know that he was mentored by Usher. Usher appeared in his first video. And Usher, just in case you have not been paying attention, was also listed in the recent Diddy documents. Now, again, this is all being alleged, but that producer who filed the lawsuit against Diddy claims that Mr. Combs, Diddy, informed him that he had engaged in sexual intercourse with a rapper that was redacted and an R&B singer that was redacted. The mystery R&B singer is described as someone who performed at the Super Bowl and has had a successful Las Vegas residency. Well, that leads many people to conclude the person who just performed at the Super Bowl, of course, is Usher. And he also has or had a Las Vegas residency. Going back to Justin, though, what we know for a fact is that Justin was very innocent when he arrived on the scene, and then he suddenly went through a very intense period of partying. And on multiple occasions, Diddy was with him at the helm, and he didn't look good. In fact, they ended up canceling a tour. It was very clear that he was deep in the throes of something. I would suspect, again, I'm alleging here, that it was some sort of an addiction. And gratefully, he had his life saved, I think, when his then manager, Scooter Braun, just canceled his tour outright. And then something happened that was a miracle. He met and married, I think he had met her previously, but he very quickly married his very Christian wife, Hailey Bieber. And his world completely changed. And genuinely, I'm grateful for that because you don't tend to see that sort of a story in Hollywood. Now, when you see...
He says, do you think Diddy independently picked up these habits, or do you think somebody taught him? And who taught him? He dropped 2 names of who he claims that taught Diddy these bad habits of what to do with boys. And he says Usher can stop it because there's something that he... And then he brought in, we talked Tupac, how the difference between him losing Tupac, that cost him money, versus the difference between Diddy losing Biggie, it made him money. And the feud and the stuff with Dre at the end, when Dre was going to get 50%, $60 million, how that whole arrangement worked out, and how the negotiation with Eazy-E, what he said about Eazy-E's feud with Dre.
Well, all due respect to Puffy, you got to realize one thing. He didn't start off like that. I'm quite sure somebody taught him that, and that's more deep in the industry. You guys who got involved with a lot of people who was their mentors, instead of having a guy to mentor your own father, they was having these guys they mentored. And when that happens in the industry, it was done to them, they do to the next person. So I felt that Puffy was a regular, normal guy. And then when he started hanging with the guys in the industry, they did things to him, and then allegedly he did things to Usher. It goes on and on. But we got to stop this pointing the finger at the person who gets caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Where did it start from? But see, people don't want to touch on those angles that they started being the major executives who run these labels. So you guys want to speak on the people who got thrown under the bus, the sacrifice lamb.
He was their mentor. Who was Diddy's mentor? We know some of the big names. I'm just curious if you have any names. You don't seem like somebody.
Well, for number one was Clyde Davis. And you got a situation. I didn't do anything to lose my company. I didn't do anything illegal to get my company taken away from me. They was able to commit fraud for my company, but it ends up to the hands of people who want to buy my company for $500 million, $700 million. I kept saying no, and then turn around, they can get block everybody and end up getting it for what, 20 or 30 million, which is crazy. If you add all that type of stuff up, and you'll see how the industry been built on the secret rooms. The people who don't participate in the secret room is the people who later on get burnt. The people who participate in those rooms, they continue to grow. Even when they get caught, they're not really caught. Because obviously, Puffy knew they was coming to raid. The security wasn't there. He used to have like 4, 6 Muslim guys doing security. They wasn't there. A lot of people weren't there. How do people know all these things? It wasn't just a coincidence. You know? So it's easy to point the finger, but let's look at the whole thing, talk about somewhere you're going to educate.
So we all know that Diddy's been accused of grooming young men like Bieber and Usher. But according to Knight, Diddy was the victim first, learning this behavior from industry guys who groomed him.
Co-founder of Death Row Records at $750 million of generated revenue. I think one year they sold 60 million records, 150 million total records sold. They had some of the biggest albums ever, signing Eazy, Snoop, Dre, Tupac, Nate Dogg, Corrupt, MC Hammer, Warren G. The list goes on. Suge, it's great to have you on the podcast today.
Hey, great being on here.
And I appreciate that. By the way, you know, one of the things I think it's important for the audience to know is the fact that you just said, look, whatever Pat wants to ask, I want to have all the conversations, any questions, nothing's off the table. Is that correct?
I like Pat. And one of the things that I always feel, if you ever going to do something and have a platform, it's about telling your truth to the next person's truth to help the generation.
When he did this interview with Shannon Sharp, and I know you played in the NFL before, when he did this interview with Shannon Sharp, everywhere everybody was talking, but also people were quiet after, you know, Diddy, he went after TDG. He went after a lot of people in the space. Had you, Cat and Diddy, did you guys ever party together, 3 of you guys? I know you and Diddy spent some time together, but did you, Cat, and Diddy ever spend time together?
I'm not gonna say I never had a. But I damn sure ain't had no pictures with no men. So you talking about have me and
no, that's not what I'm asking.
Not together. What you trying to do? I mean, have you said, not me.
And the reason why I'm asking this, where you actually personally witnessed some of the accusations that Diddy is having, saying the fact that he had cameras in the room.
Okay. But listen, the thing I'm going to tell you. We from 2 different worlds, number 1, him and I. Number 2, I'm the guy that didn't want to invite to those parties. And I'm glad of it. I've never been happy to be left out of my life. But at the same time, I'm not the guy who's in for Puffy's downfall, but I am the guy who supports the victims who got victimized, right? But at the same time, whatever the situation is, everybody knows it's wrong. And I don't think he can get punished as hard as a regular person because, you know, he used to be an FBI informant for a long time, they say. So I'm quite sure that play a role.
You're saying...
Asking the question, me, Cat, and Puffy, we had no reason to be hanging out. Me and Cat, but not me and Puffy. So that's that.
Got it. So you're saying Diddy's an FBI informant, and he's been one for many years.
That's what they say. Nothing ever happens, but it's still, like I say, it ain't my business. But I said that because anybody else got it up quick, fast, in a hurry. But, you know, the most important thing about this is that with me, you got some people will have an opinion on something that either they weren't a part of or they wasn't there. And I never want to be that type of person because, you know, there's only so many people who had Tupac or seen Tupac or talked to Tupac. And I feel that way because I often hear so many Tupac stories from people who never met him, people who wasn't around. Then you had the ones that if they worked at McDonald's and they took Tupac's order, they don't mean they know Tupac. Or you was doing security or whatever, that don't mean you know the man. All these people been benefiting and capitalizing on trying to put the man down or lie on him or tell some stories that they wasn't there or they know anything about. Because I don't think none of these people psychic. And I'm not. You know what happened to the last psychic bitch? She ended up, whoever her name was, the fake Boston boys. You know what happened to her? It all went bad. So I don't like to speculate. So I just tell the truth how it is.
Now,
Knight also revealed that Diddy's an FBI informant, proving that Cat Williams was right all along. Now this is just getting a little too wild to handle, baby.
Because he know all the secrets. And if he get to run his mouth, it could be a bad look. I look at it like the most important thing is the industry need to be built over. You have all these executives because somebody was their father, their grandfather, or all these type of stuff, and they don't give people the opportunity to grow and learn. I know when I...
Is Diddy at a level of being untouchable where he's protected, or is Diddy a target that they'll eventually put all the blame on him and make sure they get away with it free?
I mean, he's definitely going to be the black motherfucker holding the bag. Because you gotta realize one thing. That boy life is dangerous. His life doesn't, and he just not dangerous with the shit they said he was doing, but he's in danger. He know too much.
Game 50, everybody was there. I just heard somebody say, Suge Knight's here. And I looked and Suge was there. But he had some essays with him though. You know what I'm saying? He all essays. And he looked at Fifth and Fifth was like, What's up? What's up? And Suge just like he hit a cigar one time and then he did like this little shit like that, wrap it up. And then everybody just turned around and left. It was like a John Wayne movie or some shit.
Now, despite this expose, Diddy still got the upper hand with all the dirt that he's holding. Now, Bizarre spilled that Suge and his crew even confronted 50 Cent for exposing him. Now, this is all a ticking time bomb for real. And I'm kind of curious who's going to be left standing at the end of the day. It's like the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny up in here.